Hi guys, Luke here of SimBoxx in association with Clint Patrick's and Adrenaline Performance. Today I'm delighted to be joined by undefeated light heavyweight prospect fighting out of Kerry, Ireland, in Kevin Cronin, the Kingdom Warrior. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm good now. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Very good, thanks. So yeah, you got a fight coming up on the 26th of June. Today we just want to chat about your career, the journey you've been on so far, plans for the future. First and foremost, I'm guessing you kind of coming to the end of camp now ahead of the fight.
Yeah, so 26th of June is just over a week away, I think 9 days, something like that. So yeah, it's kind of, we're falling into kind of the weight cutting process now. So I don't have much to go, only 2-3 kilos that way. But yeah, fine. I have my final spar now this evening. So uh, look, it'll be nice to kind of wind down for the week as well after, because it's been a tough couple of weeks in there now. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So, before we get into the fight coming up, I always like to go back to the beginning, get to know yourself a little bit better, given it's the first time I've had the pleasure of chatting to you. So, let's go back to the very beginning, Kevin. Where did it all start with boxing? What's your first memories of boxing, lacing up a pair of gloves, walking into a gym? Where did it all start?
Yeah, well, it kind of started when I was about 10. I didn't do much boxing. Now, as my brother was actually boxing, so I was more just around the club, punching a bag and doing a bit of skipping, never sparring or competing or anything. That went on for about 2-3 years, and I my brother packed it in, so I didn't see a boxing club then till I was about maybe 15, 16. When I kind of got back into to lose weight, to be honest. That was it. I got back into to lose weight, and within a couple of weeks, just wanted to just keep getting better and progressing, and then started competing, and then started cutting down a few weight classes because I was up at super heavyweight, and got down to heavyweight, and then eventually got to light heavyweight, and yeah, had a decent amateur career. Not a very long one. I had 30 odd fights in the amateurs, which is I suppose it's not that many for an amateur boxer, but I was progressing at a good pace, and yeah, I found I was on the right path, and then I found once I got to light heavyweight, I started noticing the power difference I had, and then that was when I decided to turn professional after speaking with the promoter of Boxing Ireland promotions, Leonard Gunning, over in what's in Haringey at what's the name? The Haringey Box Cup. It's in that big venue where the World Darts will be on. I can't think of the name of it. Alexander's Palace.
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's where then I was speaking with Leonard Gunning of Boxing Ireland there, and took a couple of weeks off, went away on holidays, and decided then to sign the contract in.
So you mentioned that, going back a couple of steps, that originally you got into boxing to lose a little bit of weight when you was 15, 16. Was it always boxing? Was boxing always a sport of choice, or was the other things that you was interested in as well?
No, I was always interested in Gaelic football, so played a lot of that growing up through the years. But I was just a bit of a messer on the field. It was, I was always I loved playing it, but I was always up for the scrap on the pitch as well when it came to it. So yeah, it was a great look. It was a great sport to be involved in, but I just didn't have the passion that I have for boxing.
Play. So with the amateur scene, like you say, you 30 odd fights, you wasn't around for too long with amateur boxing. What was the standout moment for you during your small, brief amateur career? Was there any kind of fight or accomplishment that you achieved that kind of stands out as if to say, that was the finest hour in the amateur days?
Um, Look, I won the Celtic Cup at heavyweight, the International Celtic Cup. That was that was that was a very good moment because that's kind of it was a big title. It's a big title to have behind me. Um, Other than that, look, I stepped up in class. Then I went into the intermediates and fought in the provincials, or yeah, the provinces. So I won the Munster title. Then at heavyweight, and I think I had 3, 4 fights in that, and I won them all by stoppage. Um, Look, they were probably the two standout moments for me. But like I fought in a lot of shows where rather than just fighting to have a good fight in the show, I'd always want to fight someone that was high up. Like, let's say I was fighting on a home show, I'd look to see who the elite champion was at my weight, or someone that's maybe challenged for the elite title at my weight. So I always wanted to fight in people better than me. So that's kind of what I done. So I was just trying to learn my craft really in the amateurs, because I knew I wasn't going to be, even though I hadn't planned on turning professional, I knew in the back of my head I wasn't going to be there for the rest of my life in the amateurs. So I just wanted to learn my craft while I was there.
You mentioned there about learning your craft, but back in the amateur days, and even now in your professional career, which we'll get onto, but you're known as a bit of a puncher. You can whack a little bit, and you've got a lot of stoppages. So as much as you wanted to learn your craft, you're also getting a lot of stoppages there. Do you ever feel like that you weren't getting the rounds under your belt, or are you satisfied, obviously, with the work that you've done as an amateur?
I was satisfied. I got a lot of stoppages, but look, I got a lot of rounds as well. So look, all them 3-rounders, I think the boxing side of it and the competing side of it will help out in the future as a professional when I get into sticky situations and I have to box my way out of it. But I don't think all them 3-rounders would have made much of a difference, whether going 2 or 3 rounds towards my professional career, because obviously the minimum as a pro is 4, and look, I'm kind of out of that, even though I'm actually fighting a 4-rounder in Spain, but that's just because I was away with work and I didn't have a full camp. But I'm out with the 4-rounders now and up to 6-rounders, so the 3-rounders wouldn't have made much of a difference getting the 3 rounds every fight.
So you made the decision to turn pro. You made your professional debut back in 2019 in Dublin. Must have been a very proud moment for yourself. Got a stoppage victory as well, which is always impressive on your debut. What's your memories of that professional debut, and how much did you find it different from the amateur days transitioning to the professional game?
Yeah, it was a crazy night, to be honest. It was a huge card to be on here, because it was the first big card in a while, and it was on national television here, TG Cahir, and everything. So I couldn't have picked a better card and a better time to debut as well. That was nuts, because we had a huge crowd from home up there, and it was unbelievable venue, unbelievable atmosphere, and yeah, it was unreal. I was out I hadn't competed in, I think it was just about a year or shy of a year since my last amateur fight to my pro debut. So I had a small bit of ring rust going in, but look, I got 3 rounds under my belt, and then I kind of settled down then, and my coach told me what to do in the corner, and I came straight out in the 4th round, done what he told me, got the stoppage. And yeah, it was a great feeling to win the debut. It was probably a better feeling than winning my last 2 fights, but that's just because the buzz around it. But yeah, it was unbelievable.
So 3 months after that, you went and picked up your second career victory. But then after that, there's been a bit of a period of stagnation, almost like the world itself come to a standstill due to the pandemic. But you've been balancing the pandemic, getting back into your boxing, as well as working as a fireman. Tell us about that and that kind of balancing and juggling act, and working as a fireman first and foremost. Like, how difficult is that to try and do that as a job, which is very demanding, I'd imagine, and also training and trying to resume your boxing career as well?
Yeah, so I had that second fight, and then I was actually meant to be out a couple of weeks later in, I think it might have been London again, I think, but then that ended up falling through because another fight ended up coming up in Scotland, which was more suitable, and so we were going to go with that. Next thing, that whole card fell through for some reason. There was a title fight on it. It all fell through. The whole card just fell through. Then it was close to Christmas. Then I was given a fight for, I think it was the end of February, in just outside Manchester in some town. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, came close to that. And it was actually March, because it was just as I was meant to start my firefighting training 1 week later. But anyway, a couple of days before that fight, that's when everything went into lockdown and COVID came, and the card actually went ahead, but there was a big kind of a scare at the start, and we didn't know how serious COVID was. So we just decided, look, we'll just we'll leave this one go, and we'll get a fight again in a couple of weeks' time once all this blows over, which it obviously didn't, and it ended up going on it's still going on, but it ended up pushing me back till just a couple of months ago in March to get my fight. But yeah, look, juggling work and training. Yeah, look, it's not too bad, because I'm on call with the fire station, so I'm not there 24/7, but I am on call 24/7. I've missed a couple of trainings over my pager going off and stuff like that, but not that many. In the last year and a half, I've only missed a couple of trainings, which I've gone back and been able to complete a couple of hours later. So, look, it's a good job to be in, especially with my training and everything.
Yeah, of course. So, fingers crossed there's not too many cats stuck up trees in County Kerry. And you might have to shoot off in the middle of this interview. You never know.
Yeah, I know it could happen, but no, I haven't come on a cat yet.
So, yeah, during the pandemic, is that when you decided then, to hit the fireman training, full whack and give that your all kind of thing? Is that when you became a fireman?
No, I was trying to get into it with a couple of years, but they were recruiting, and then something happened. They ended up not recruiting, but then they went out looking for or recruiting again, and I put my name forward, and we were all called for interviews, and I ended up just getting called on into the next training, to the next obstacle, and we had to go through training, and passed that, thank God, and got in then, and yeah, I've been working there for a year, and then we had our second part of the training just a couple of weeks ago, which I was saying kind of affected my camp a bit, and that's out of the way now, thank God, and we have one more week of training coming up in September, and that's it. Then once we pass that, we're in, and hopefully, look, touch wood, that'll all go well.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit off the subject of boxing, but a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, he's a fireman as well. He passed in the past 18 months or so, but it's very rigorous, and it's very demanding. And it's not just one of those things where you can decide to be a fireman, and they welcome you with open arms. I've seen that firsthand. So, what kind of things do you take away from the work that you put in as a fireman and as the work as a boxer? Do you find any similarities in terms of focus and determination and grit and willpower? Do you think that there's any similarities almost?
Not really. Not exactly. I guess you're kind of put in situations where if you have to do something, you're kind of saying, boxing isn't that bad. I'd rather be in the ring right now. It actually only happened to me at that training I was on about. We were inside in it's a heated building. We were training for like a fire in a building, rescuing people and all that. And we were in training for that. And I just came out of it and I just said, I would rather go 12 rounds with Tyson Fury than go through that again, So things like that, I kind of thinking back now, being in the ring or going back into that building, I think I'd rather be in the ring.
Absolutely.
So I'll always dig deep and push through whatever situation I'm in the ring.
I think for me, it's you say there about the heated building, but it's also the confined spaces. When you're doing that kind of, you're stuck in a small space and you're trying to like crawl through or climb through or whatever. I think that's a bit for me the way I'd be like, no, I'm done here. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, I guess it's just for some people and not for others. Like,
so you got back in the ring in March out in Luxembourg, which is quite a unique location. You went out there, picked up the win, stoppage victory again. So you've got 2 stoppages and 3 wins now as a professional. How did the opportunity to box in somewhere as unique as Luxembourg come from?
You know what? I don't really know. My manager just put it to me and I said 100% because since before Christmas, I'd say about October, I kind of said, this pandemic it's going to have to stop eventually. So let's start, whipping myself into shape. I said, let's use this time and absolutely, grind on conditioning and grind on everything. And you know what? Conditioning wouldn't have been one of my big things. But I sat down with my conditioning coach and I said, look, while we have the chance, let's just get myself into the best shape I could possibly get myself into. And we done that. And we were just grinding the gym day in, day out, getting what sparring I could. I never sparred as much in my life for a fight as I did for that. And I genuinely believe I could have done a 10-rounder in that fight and I would have went that pace for 10 rounds because my ring fitness was so good for that fight. But obviously I hadn't had a 6-rounder yet. My team wanted me to do a 6-rounder. Me and my coach were kind of back and forward. I was saying, let's just do the 8-rounder. So let's meet in the middle. Let's get an 8-rounder. But he said, you know what, look, let's just get a 6 out of the way and we can worry about getting an 8 after that. So we ended up going with the 6. But yeah, look, I whipped myself into very good condition for that fight. Best condition of my life, to be honest with you. And came in on good weight, good muscle mass, good body fat. Everything, like, I know that's not the most important for boxing, but when it comes to the weigh-in, just when you're finished your weigh-ins and everything, you can kind of think back and say, look, the hard work is done. Like I was sparring maybe 3, 8, and 10 rounders, a week for about 6 months coming up to that fight. Like, so, if I wasn't going to be ready for that 6th rounder, I'd never be ready. But look, I went in there and I kind of had a slow enough start. I was just kind of feeling them out and feeling the range and kind of picking off my shots. I started picking up the pace a bit in the 2nd round, and then started putting the pressure on in the 3rd round, and really picked up the pace of the fight. The 3rd round in, went back to the corner. I put him down at the end of the 3rd round, and he was grabbing it, moaning about his shoulder after he was put down. But the round ended in just as I came back out. I was, you know what I said, I was kind of going to put the finishing touches on him anyway. He was thereabouts. But the bell went, and I went back to my corner. My coach just goes to me, "How are you feeling, Joe?" Because obviously, in my last couple of fights, if I put down that pace that I put in the 3rd round, in any one of my first 2 fights, I would have been fairly tired. And I just looked at him and I said, I'll do the full 6 at this pace. I said, Joe, there's no problem, Joe, because I wasn't feeling it at all. I said, Joe, I could have put even more pressure on for the next 3 rounds. It was getting kind of obvious if he came out, he was going to be stopped eventually, because I was just going to keep coming like a train. But look, they waved it off. I was happy to get the stoppage coming back, especially in a fight where you mentioned the puncher, that I was known as a bit of a puncher. Everyone was saying that, that I was a bit of a puncher, but I said, you know what, I'm going to show I can box here. And I actually ended up stopping him with my boxing. So I was happy to do that as well, but would have much rather get the 6. But look, nice to come back with the stoppage victory. And look, hopefully, again, in a week and a half, hopefully I'll get a full 4 rounds, but you just don't know.
So in between the 2nd and the 3rd fight, there was a break of, maybe 21, 22, 23 months. Did it almost feel like you was starting again, so early in your career that it almost felt like a 2nd pro debut almost?
No, not really. Do you know what? I just kept grinding. I kind of felt more experienced than I should have felt going into the 3rd fight. And I don't know why that was. I think it was just because of all the professional sparring I was getting, all the training we were putting in, really working on changing my style while we had the chance, and the conditioning and everything. For some reason, it felt like I was getting in there for my 10th pro fight. It just felt like I was on a whole different level going in my 3rd fight than I was for any. My first 2 fights, there was the excitement. I knew I was getting into the pros, kicking off my career. But the 3rd fight, it just felt like it was 10 fights later compared to them. I don't know why that was. I think it's just I built the experience through training and sparring and everything like that. But definitely didn't feel like I was making my debut again, no.
So, you mentioned that you had your fight stepped up to 6 rounds. You've mentioned that you feel like you could go to 10 rounds. And, listening to you today, there seems to be a lot of drive there, a lot of determination. Is there a willingness there to, jump up the levels at a rapid rate, almost make up for lost time that was lost during the pandemic, and, get back to business, get some wins under your belt, and, see where this journey takes you?
Yeah, do you know what? My manager and coach have a tough job with me, because, they do be killing me. They keep telling me, look, you're just 25, you're just gone 25, stop, you have loads of time. People aren't turning over till they're 30, 31. They're saying, you have mountains of time. And I'm just there like, come on, I keep saying it to my manager, give me a ranked opponent. I want a ranked opponent. I want a highly ranked opponent. Give me someone. And they're absolutely killing me. They're just they have a tough job trying to hold me back. I can see where they're coming from, and obviously they're doing the right thing, but just I really, really want that test. But look, you know what? I think I'm more determined today than ever, because I got a phone call last night from my manager. Something I can't say is happening, but look, I win my next 2 or 3 fights. It's just something big in the pipeline, and bigger than it should be for someone that'll be, I have in 3 fights. Let's say if I go 6-0, if I win my next 3 fights and go 6-0, bigger than what I should be getting at 6-0. But I think they can see I've built such a popularity and I've such a big following down here at home that they kind of have to give it to me, and people will have an idea what I'm on about. But I won't be saying anything until I get my next fight or 2 out of the way.
I almost thought we was getting a SimBoxx exclusive there. I thought you was going to drop the news.
No. Don't worry. I won't be giving it to anyone else either.
So looking throughout your career, you've boxed in Luxembourg, you've boxed in the UK, you've boxed in Ireland for your debut, your next fight's in Spain. There's a clear willingness to travel there. Do you feel like this is all money in the bank, if you like, that it's all different experiences, and that throughout your professional career, whatever it may go, that you're never really going to get caught short because you've got these experiences early doors?
Yeah, look, anyone that's involved in professional boxing knows that it costs every fight and camp costs thousands upon thousands upon thousands. And look, it's sponsors are hard to come by. I have good sponsors, but sponsors are hard to come by, and it's an expensive sport. So, like, I'm digging into my own pocket and I'm just investing in myself. If I didn't believe I could go far in this sport, I wouldn't invest in myself. I'd fight close to home, fight a few journeymen, and then maybe take a couple of chances. I'm not doing it that way. I'm investing in myself. I went to London. I wanted to build that experience of travel and making weight. I went to Luxembourg, travel, make weight. I'm going to Spain, travel, make weight. Rehydrate, refuel, get in the ring, then fight after all this. And look, I know we're coming back to Ireland after this fight. We're going to fight in Belfast. I'm going to have a fight in Dublin. As I said, I can't go too far ahead because that's what's in the pipeline coming up next. But between what the plans are, I want to get back over to England maybe after Dublin because you were talking to Colin. Look, I've Colin's kind of trying to build me in over in the UK as well a bit. So like I have a plan to kind of break into the UK as well and make a name for myself there. And I know I've only had the one fight there, but like that's boxing. It's kind of the home of boxing now over in UK for professional boxing. So I kind of want to break my way in there, and there's a lot of Irish over in the UK as well. So build a lot of support over there. So maybe after this fight in Dublin, I might get back over and maybe even try get on one of them fight zone cards because they look unbelievable. But haven't talked about it with anyone yet. So obviously I have to win my next two fights, but maybe get a fight or two over there, and then the big one that I'm keeping under wraps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over in the UK, the 175-pound division is bustling at the minute. You've got the likes of Lyndon Arthur, Craig Richards, Anthony Yarde, Callum Johnson, Hosea Burton. It's a great division. And, I know you're a couple of fights behind these guys. They've been around a little bit longer, but the rate that you're moving at, and you're only 25, it's a great division to kind of, try and crash into.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I love it. I'd love to be fighting, but I'd say, being realistic, give it 2 years, I'd love to be in the mix with him, fighting with him. Obviously, Joshua Buatsi is going to go on now, and he's fighting actually that guy that lost a better of, I think, in his last fight. But
Bolotniks, he won the golden contract with MTK.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I have the wrong guy. So I actually thought he was fighting the guy that just fought better of. But yeah, that's a serious test as well. That guy stopped Stephen Ward, and he beat Jose Burton. He's another one of them that's there, going to be challenging for a world title as well. So obviously he'll be gone out of that mix soon enough. I'd be presuming the domestic mix. But look, I'd love to be there in the next 2 years in that mix, fighting for a European title. That's where I plan to be. And, I don't think anything's going to stop me because as I said, look, I'm coming like a train for it. And I just don't see anyone stopping me getting there, to be honest with you.
Do you keep an eye on these guys? The guys that are at the top, the guys that are coming up beside you. Do you try and keep an eye on who's where and, who might be a potential rival further down the line and kind of plan a journey towards one fight maybe? Do you keep an eye on the competition?
Always, yeah. Look, I'm always looking ahead. Look, I'm not looking behind me. I'm not looking beside me. I'm looking straight forward. I'm looking ahead. Like, if I wasn't on to you here now on Zoom, I'd probably be on YouTube watching Lyndon Arthur or Anthony Yarde or someone fighting, and constantly studying these guys because I know, well, I'm saying someday I could be fighting them, but any day you could get a phone call and get an offer to jump in on short notice with any of these guys because their opponent pulled out. And like, I don't want to be underprepared. So, obviously I'm in camp now, so I'll be training for a certain style. But when I'm out of camp, let's say I could turn on the telly one day and turn on YouTube and watch Anthony Yarde and then see what holes I'd find in that and go into my training that day and maybe work on something that might work on that style. And then again, the next day, watch someone else, maybe someone like Beterbiev, and go into the gym that day and train for that style. Obviously, as I say, when you go into camp, you're training for a certain style. and then hoping that the opponent isn't changed and it ruins basically your whole camp. But yeah, look, I'm constantly watching all these guys.
Let's bring it back full circle to close out with. So you got the fight 26th of June. We're about a week and a half away from that. What's the plan moving forward here? You're sparring this evening, but then in terms of getting out to Spain, and we've got the whole pandemic and everything else. Like, what's the plan moving forward? When are you hoping to fly out to Spain?
Yeah, so sparring this evening. That's the last spar. Couple of light sessions till maybe till Saturday. Take Sunday off. Monday morning, it'll just be a weight check. And I pray to God that I'm not far off weight, because I don't want to be in the sauna suit all next week for my trainings. But yeah, flying out Thursday morning. I'm just gonna chill Thursday. Hopefully, I hope I'll be on weight by Thursday evening for Friday. The weigh-ins are Friday. I think they're Friday afternoon. I think, but look, hopefully I'll be on weight and I won't be cutting weight Friday morning. But if needs be, I'll be in the sauna on Friday morning. But yeah, that's the plan. Look, fly out Thursday, hopefully chill for the evening, have all the hard work done, have all the weight cut, weigh in, refuel, and get in there and do what I do best Saturday and move on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure there's plenty more to come. It's been a joy to chat to you today. We wish you the best of luck for the fight on the 26th of June, and we'll catch up moving forward, I'm sure. So you take care, and again, best of luck with the fight.
Nice one. Thanks for having me.